Hey guys, Kerian Halcyon here, back on Halcyon Industries. We are back in Space Engineers once again with my Build a Fleet series, and today we're going to do something a little bit interesting. If you went ahead and looked at my Steam workshop on the 14th of October, you would have already seen my first actual really cool looking large ship I've ever done like forever. But if not, I'll go ahead and put you up to speed. This ship is the PS-1 Kennedy-class vessel, and it's kind of a spur-of-the-moment idea that I came up with that day, and I'm really proud of it. I'll explain a little bit about what it does and why I like it so much, but if you notice, I actually named it after a person instead of an animal or a bug, like I usually do. That was kind of intentional. It's actually named after former U.S. President John F. Kennedy, who is my favorite former president and one of the better presidents who've ever ran the United States. He was responsible for greenlighting the NASA space program and helped the U.S. go through a lot of problems during the Cold War. From what I understand, he was a pretty amazing person and a great leader. But moving right along, let's finish up the stock footage and get started with showing the layout of the actual ship. So now that we're in Space Engineers proper, let's take a look at this ship. So this is kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing for a while. I say it's spur-of-the-moment. I've been always kind of planning to build like a gunship slash, not gunship, but a gunboat for a while. The last time I tried to do a build my own fleet kind of project, like a personal project that I didn't post on YouTube or anything like that, I tried to do one of these and it failed miserably. It looked like a giant spearhead in space, and that did not look very very flattering at all. I kind of went in a different direction with this and made it more like an actual boat, and I kind of did that on purpose, but it looks so much better now that I've done that. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like that this actually looks like a proper spaceship, even though it's not supposed to be a boat, it's supposed to be a spaceship. It looks really good. That's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, like I said, this is named after John F. Kennedy, and the acronym actually for PS is Patrol Ship. Now the reason why I named it after John F. Kennedy is because I based this entire design off of the original 1940s, what were they called? PT boats, the patrol torpedo boats that they used in World War II in the Pacific Theater. And John F. Kennedy actually sailed one of these. It was the PT-109. It was supposed to be a really big wreck, but he managed to get a crew together. They managed to fix it all up, and they got it seaworthy, and it saw action twice, where the second time it went out to sea, a destroyer actually cut it in half, and supposedly John F. Kennedy actually had to save he managed to save the rest of his crew, get into a deserted island, and call for help, and they managed to get help. But the boat sank and never set sail again, and he ended up getting a different ship. That was my Skype. Sorry about that. So that was also featured in the the movie PT-109, which is one of my favorite movies growing up. It's this old 1960s movie, and it is a really good movie. I recommend watching it. It tells the story about one of these things that happened in 1942, not 1942, but one of these war stories that happened that a lot of people probably don't know about, or a lot of people might know about, depending on if you have a grandpa that's still alive that went to war in World War II. Most of us still have grandparents that were alive back then. So, anyway, the point of a patrol craft is that this has no jump drive. This is a completely orbital craft. In fact, driving around, it has barely an hour's worth of energy, and in fact only has about 4 small reactors, and most of its energy is composed of battery life. This is intentional, because this ship is actually supposed to be, it's never supposed to leave high orbits. It's supposed to stay within planets, or otherwise be taken from system to system, station to station via a jump ship, which would be a dedicated starship that would essentially be just a giant jump drive. I will also be making one of those in the future as well. It might even be pure vanilla, because that's what I did last time that I tried to make one of those. Some of the other features I included on this ship were, you got these turrets and stuff. This is supposed to be like a forward patrol boat. This is like your first line of defense against an enemy target. And in this case, the enemy target would be either small ships or transport boats or larger ships and stuff like that. This is the kind of ship that you would send in to deal with like pirates and stuff. Excuse me. And in fact, my little lore explanation for this is that it was built initially to deal with pirates after the massive influx of people during the second space race, as featured in the like little background story for space engineers, when you pop up and you see the little background stuff. So anyway, it's got a rocket pod, a couple of cameras, and it's got these two, I think they're called Gemini turrets. These Gemini turrets in the front. It's got maglocks on the bottom for when it attaches to other ships, and then it has a bigger turret on the top. This is supposed to be crewed by 4 people, and the idea would be is that you'd have your pilot in here. I'll actually go inside and show that. Oh, I also have about 4, actually technically 5 interior turrets, 4 on the outside and 1 inside. If you come over here into the back, this is sort of a hangar area as well. And in fact, I have one of my my assassin bug, my vanilla ready assassin bug in here, and this is intentional as well. The assassin bug is supposed to be what I called a Guardian class fighter, and that essentially means that it's supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be a police craft, and I have it hanging upside down kind of intentionally as well. I wanted to make it so that I could like pull it in and pull it out. The idea behind this whole setup is that this ship is not supposed to go into an atmosphere or anything like that. Practically, this is not a warship. This is a police cruiser kind of a thing. So everything in here is supposed to be for dealing with smaller interdiction missions. So that's why the hangar bay is still kind of exposed. You still have that little hangar door in the back just to keep your butt from being protected while you're flying around. But otherwise, this would not see actual combat unless in a worst case scenario. Come up here. We're going to come inside. I'm going to turn this on. I had that off because I've got all of my other antennas still on over there. I need to turn those off whenever I'm recording. All the lights are currently off as well because it's just easier on frame rate. This is sort of the interior. It's all oxygenated. Kind of. It's got this really big oxygen thing on the top. It's got gravity and stuff like that. There's 4 seats in here. The idea would be is that if you were carrying passengers or if you had criminals, you'd put them in the back here, and that's where they'd stay. You come in here. This area is actually not oxygenated. That's why that huge burst of oxygen came in here. Usually you come in here, there'll be just enough oxygen for you to be able to do your thing. Then you open and close the door as necessary. But the idea is that the crew all are wearing suits, and they all have bottles so that they can do their stuff. You've got a crew of 4. Your pilot, who controls your who controls the rockets and all the interior systems. He also has control of the sirens and stuff, which I'll show you that in a minute. And the cameras. The cameras, there is 1 in the hangar to show who's parked, who's not parked, and then there's 1 in the very front that you can kind of use to zoom in and zoom out if you have to. This is something that I recommend for any ships there, especially if you're going to deal with like cargo ships. It's always handy to have a camera up front, so just so that you can see what the heck is going on in front of you. Because sometimes you can't really tell what the ship is, if it's got turrets or not, and this just like cuts the view distance in half and makes it so much easier. Even though zooming in, you see the really dull looking skybox and stuff like that. Which, personally, I feel like that could be fixed, but I'm joining DirectX 9, not DirectX 11, because DirectX 9 is just easier on my computer. Even though my computer is powerful, Space Engineer still has bugs, so I just rather use what works. There's also a point defense system, which also activates during the alarm. And the point defense system, the purpose for that is to just take out, in fact, we will look at that real quick, the point defense system. I have that set up to take out only meteors, moving objects, missiles, and characters. This is essentially your emergency, oh my gosh, there's a rocket aiming for me, this ship is lightweight, it's going to get blown up, let's turn on these turrets and get rid of those rockets so it's not a problem. That's kind of what those are, and that's the only thing that they're used for. They're not used to take out any other targets of priority, just specifically because of the fact that they're specifically there to protect your ship. This is like one of those emergency defense systems. You're flying around, you've already got your AI compatible turrets main gun turret attacking the enemy. You've got your 2 guys in the front manning these non-AI Gemini turrets. And then you've got your final guy in the Guardian fighter who's piloting around trying to take out this enemy ship. The enemy ship happens to have missiles, and you don't want those turrets attacking the ship. You want them attacking the missiles. Otherwise, you're going to be turned to shreds, because the ship also does not have shields. There is no shielding at all on this ship. This is basically what you see is what you get. So 1 rocket pod right in the front, and you're dead. It'd be like in the yellow spawn ship, where if you don't have it all set up to deal with it, then you're in trouble. Anyway, so both these man the turrets, the Gemini turrets at the bottom. And the Gemini turrets are interesting in that, actually I can show you real quick, in that they don't move around. I mean, not move around, they don't move around all the way. They have a certain limit in the direction in which they can turn. I kind of like that. It's like, it keeps things forward. You can still move it around to kind of keep tracking on something, but you're stuck in moving in a certain direction. So, it doesn't necessarily, you can't aim behind you, you have to aim up front. It's basically another glorified, like rocket launch, because it's pretty much kind of like a missile where you have to aim in one direction, and you can't really do anything else. I mean, you can't really do anything else with it. You can track a target, but that's pretty much it. And I consider that to be actually really nifty. I also have CodeCat's extra cockpits as well, which is kind of cool. This is supposed to control the main gun. I think I'm lower in the seat than I used to be. Anyway, this controls the main gun, and you essentially just turn it on. You can turn on whether or not it has tracking or not, and then you can control it, etc. And this is an AI gun. This is basically the large ship turret. It's kind of weird the way that the Azimuth mod has it set up, because it kind of just moves around in an odd way. I think just to try and make it compact. I really hope that it's connected to that that cargo bay. I got it set up where I think it is, but I don't know. It's just the way that it was set up. So it's actually not directly on the grid like it's supposed to. But whatever. We'll have to see if that's gonna be a problem later. I also have the modular. Oh, I almost forgot. There's also a turret out here. I don't know if you noticed. Out here in the hangar bay. Which when is turned on is basically like your emergency system. Like, oh my gosh, a pirate's in the back. Someone's not flying someone who's in LA isn't flying our Guardian fighter. We've got drones trying to come in. This is basically your one way in, and there's no other way of being able to protect yourself. So that turret's there just for emergencies. And these button panels here can help turn on and off these connectors. Different connectors are connected to different parts of the ship. The one up there is supposed to be for the Guardian fighter, and it is completely separate from the rest of the group. You have to actually manually reload with your Guardian fighter in order for it to work. As for this one, this is connected to the rest of the ship's systems. And I also have lower gravity because it helps save on power. Because again, there's only like, there's like, I think 8 batteries and 4 reactors in this ship, all working together. And that gives it only a few hours of time, so every little bit counts. Like I said, this is supposed to be an orbital craft. And so, if it's having see, there's like 4 days of fuel time when it's just standing still. This is an orbital craft, so if it's just, it doesn't need that much power. It's supposed to be just in one spot. You can't take it anywhere. It's not really recommended to go anywhere with it, unless you have a jump ship taking you there. So let's go ahead and fly it around a little bit. The modular thrusters are just for that extra thrust. You notice how all of a sudden our fuel time cut from 4 days to barely an hour. As I'm turning around, we're at high speed, because again, this is a patrol ship. This is supposed to go fast. This is not like your cruiser. This isn't a frigate. This isn't a corvette. This is a patrol boat. This is supposed to keep up with fighters. This is basically your this is an anti-fighter interdiction ship kind of thing. Even though the point defense systems aren't even though it's not specifically got those anti-fighter stuff on it. But the idea is that you can fly around with this with modular thrusters. It gets you to that speed as fast as possible so that you can deal with enemy ships as fast as possible. And then, but if you have to save up on power, you can just turn that off and there are already a series of thrusters in the back that can help you move forward and backwards as necessary. And they go at a relatively decent speed. You're pretty much spending as much fuel as you would be without the modular thrusters, but it isn't quite as taxing. As you can see, we're just going to fly underneath all these other ones, including like the original that I had built. Hi, how you doing? We're just going to fly past you, and then we're going to turn this on. There's also a laser antenna in the back for when you need to get into contact with a base. Because like I said, this could also be used as like your station security system or whatever. Your orbital, I think that the term I put was Colonial Orbital Security. Kind of a thing? Yeah, so that would be kind of like the lore aspect of it. Oh, and also spotlights, because spotlights are necessary. I had this weird bug, by the way. I'm not sure if anyone else has had it. But since it's this version, it's going to be... I'm recording this on a Wednesday, and in fact it's a Wednesday night. So come Tuesday, not Tuesday, come Thursday, which is literally tomorrow, there will be an update that might fix this. But I've been having a bug of late. In fact, you can see it right now. You can see that the spotlights are kind of on, but they're not. I'm even going to turn the interior lights on now and show you. Look. When I put these in originally... Oh, wow. Suddenly they work. When I put these in originally, the spotlight... That's trippy. Look at that. Yeah, see what's going on? This is one of those really weird bugs where if I don't look at it, it doesn't work, but when I look at it, it's there. It only happened after... Get this. This only happened after I painted this. Everything was fine initially when I got it all set up, and it worked fine. But then after I painted it, the bug showed up, and then it just wouldn't go away. Because when I initially flew this thing, it was perfectly fine. No problems, nothing like that happened at all. It wasn't until after I, excuse me. It wasn't after I had what was it? It was not until after I had painted this thing, the Halcyon Industries green, which by the way is a new green. It's no longer the regular default green. This is more like a spruce green color. When I painted it green, it just turned into that, and it's just weird. It's really weird. This is one of those bugs that only appeared after a fix. I really hope that they get this one fixed, but yeah, that's kind of a problem. Anyway, so off my tangent, that's pretty much it. This is the again, this is the PS Kennedy patrol craft. And, yeah, this is going to definitely be part of the, Let's Build a Ship series. I mean, Let's Build a Fleet series. And this would be the groups that would be in charge of watching over stations and in orbit and stuff like that. So, I have yet to have this thing in actual action. However, the stock footage probably would show that I will have, at the very least, gotten it, against, like, the large blue ship or whatever like that, under pirates or something along those lines. I'll figure it out. But anyway, I guess that's pretty much it at the moment. If you guys like this, do me a favor, let me know. Leave a note in the comments, and be sure to hit like. If you want to see more, be sure to subscribe. I'm going to try and do this on a regular basis. It's amazing. I actually got some encouragement on these videos, and normally I didn't really do these, but I got encouragement on these videos, and now I just don't want to stop. So I'm going to just keep posting them as I can. It feels good being able to get encouragement from people, like to say, oh hey, you did a good job with this. So I'm just going to keep trying to do that, and so yeah, if you want to see more showcases, let me know. If you want to see different kinds of things, also let me know. I'm willing to expand my horizons a little bit for you guys. Until then, this has been Kerian Halcyon on Halcyon Industries. Me out.